By day, I'm an insurance broker, and I work with my clients to assess risk and determine what to do with the risk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's three strategies we typically look to. We first look to see if we can avoid the risk. If we can't do that, then we look to see if there's a way we can minimize the risk. And when avoidance and the ability to minimize the risk are not an option, then we look to see if we can transfer the risk. And that's what an insurance policy is. And I like to ask my guests if they can look at their own situation. It could be their clients, the market, investors, tenants, however you want to frame the question. But if they can identify what they consider to be the biggest risk, and for clarification, I'm not looking for an insurance-related answer per se. Risk is everywhere you look. But if you're willing, I'd like to ask you, Brett Swarts, what is the biggest risk?
Sure. So I'm going to apply it to the deferred sales trust because we didn't actually touch on this, but I think this is really important. So it has to do with asset protection, right? So the more you own and the more you own in your own name and or that's not in an LLC or that doesn't have proper insurance, the more you could be liable and have higher risk of somebody suing you and taking that asset, okay? So by essence, ownership, and Rockefeller said it well, he said, own nothing, control everything, right? And the idea was asset protection. So how do you lower risk? Well, with the deferred sales trust, guess what? You become the lender. You don't own the trust. So what you don't own, they can't take from you, right? By default. Now, could a creditor, if they get a judgment against you, and could they potentially get the income off of the trust? Yeah, that's common, right? But could they force the ownership that's not the person that they got the judgment against to do anything there? No, because they don't own it. So we do love that about the deferred sales trust too. It does take and mitigate some of the risk. So I think, part of the answer is the risk of just lots of ownership in structures or that are not insured in a proper way that could be subject to judgments. If there's a way to mitigate that, I think that's really good. And I think that's probably the biggest risk I can think for this conversation here. Does that make sense, Darrin?
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swarts. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.